Hi, I'm Sheila from Bluebird Valley Art. Today I'm going to film an introductory video. I'm going to attach it to the beginning of my workshop videos so that you will have some background and knowledge about the materials that I use for acrylic pouring. So if you've already seen this, you've already done a workshop and you found this attached to it and you want to skip over, just fast forward until you see the technique itself starting. Right, acrylic pouring requires acrylic paint, any kind of acrylic paint, which is normally quite thick. You can see that that's not fluid at all. It's not going to pour. In order to make it pour, I add a pouring medium. And the one I use the most is called Floetrol. I mix Floetrol, 3 parts Floetrol to 1 part water, and I shake it up. And that is what I add to my paints to make them fluid. Sometimes I use other types, other things like Gluol. Sometimes if I want to make a really, really thick consistency. For some techniques I do that, but mostly, and some of them I use just water. For the ones with the hair dryer, that's just water in there. But most of them are done with Floetrol. I can show you right here what I do. I take some paint. I've already put it in the cup. I've just put a glob of paint in the bottom of the cup. And in this one, there's the Floetrol and water mix. So I would just add a little bit of the Floetrol to the paint and stir it until it becomes creamy, kind of like mayonnaise. And just keep blending it. I'm not going to add all of the pouring medium at once because it's harder to mix if I do that. Once I get this sort of creamy consistency, it's a bit creamy. I just gradually add a little bit more pouring medium until I get this consistency, which I sort of call runny honey. Like that. And it can be a little bit thicker, a little bit thinner, depending on the technique. But yeah, generally it's going to be like that. And that's got, because this paint is so thick and highly pigmented, I add quite a bit of pouring medium to get it to this, to get this consistency. It's all about consistency. There's no real recipe for how much you should add. Some paints on their own are thicker than others, so you just have to keep mixing until you get what you need as far as pourability. In the workshops, of course, I provide pre-mixed paints. You don't need to worry about mixing your own. Every paint will be mixed to the proper consistency for that technique. So then if you want to go ahead and try it on your own, you just look at that consistency and say, okay, I'll mix my own paints to be like that. And of course, there's plenty of instructional videos on YouTube. You can really fall down that rabbit hole once you start Googling acrylic pouring. All right, those are the paints. So acrylic, any type. If you want to experiment with dollar store paints, that is fine. They are quite fluid already. You add a bit less of the medium to those, but you still do need to add some medium. I'll just warn you that dollar store white paint generally cracks. Any craft white paint tends to crack. The other colors seem to be fine. Okay, and such a variety of colors out there. I like to mix my own colors. I buy sort of like a primary blue, yellow, red, white, and black, and I mix a lot of my own colors. Not this one. This is a beautiful magenta that I buy. But it's a lot of fun to mix your own colors too. All right. In every kit there will be a canvas, usually a 9 by 12. Sometimes I put in different sizes depending, but generally this is the one I use. there will be, depending on the technique, there will be a variety of things added, usually a pair of gloves that will protect your hands. Acrylic paint does wash off, no problem, but it gets under your nails sometimes, and some people have manicures and they want to protect those. So I provide a pair of gloves. There might be some cups for layering. We do a lot of parfait type style. Stir sticks for just, once you open your little container of paint. Where did I put it? Your paints will come in little containers, and once you open them, you're going to just stir them up a little bit. Make sure they haven't separated while they traveled to you. Literally everything you need will be included, except for the hairdryer techniques. Those ones you will have to provide your own hairdryer. And I'm not going to include that in the little bag. So a hairdryer like this with the attachment on the end is appropriate for the Dutch pour. And some of the others, you can use the regular round attachment as well. But in the description, each time, it will be very clear what type of hairdryer you might need, or if you need one at all. Most techniques do not require this, but the ones that do are a lot of fun. And as you can imagine, there's a little bit of mess. That's why I also include a plastic sheet that you can put down on your workspace. I'll just show you how I have my space set up here, and I'll show you how I prepare my canvas ready for pouring. There will be other things in your kit as well. Sometimes we need a straw to blow a little bit. Sometimes we need, pipette. Just depends on the technique, what's in there. It's always exciting to find out. And I did want to mention that acrylic pouring can be quite messy a lot of times, and you do need to have this. It's part of the deal that the paints are going to flow off the side of the canvas. I'll just show you. Well, I'll show you on this one where it's really easy to see. So the paints flow off the side, and they actually create a three-dimensional work of art. So you can, when it's hanging on the wall, you can appreciate the sides as well as the front. Even with the regular canvases, the ones that are not that thick, they get the sides painted as well. And so while those drips are coming off, they're making a pool of paint around your canvas. And I like to dip things in that paint. Sometimes I make jewelry, and that's a whole other workshop. But if you want to keep some cardboard handy, or one of these, I call them spreader sticks, you can just dip them in the paint, and you'll come out with some cute little bookmarks, right? I like to keep things handy for dipping. And that's one way to use what might be wasted paint. Sometimes it is entirely wasted, and that's just part of the art. But you can save that paint and let it dry as well, because it will peel off once it's dry. And you can do things with that, like cut it up into bookmarks or make it into jewelry. Some people make things like phone cases. I've never tried that. But it literally turns into plastic after it dries, and you can peel it right off the sheet that I provide if you want. Or just crunch it up and throw it in the garbage. Okay, I'm just going to bring the camera down and show you how to prepare your canvas. Right. We flip it over, and included in the kit will be, where did I put them? Push pins. These are recycled push pins, but yours will be new. And we're going to put them in the corners, more or less in the corners. It doesn't have to be exact, just so that the canvas will remain a little bit elevated from the workspace while the paints drip off the side. You don't want your canvas sitting right in a pool of paint. And I'll just mention that you need to find a level spot to dry your canvas. So the paints are very fluid, very wet, You don't want to be moving this around too much while it's wet. Find a spot where you can leave it to dry. Or, I didn't do it here, but this is the plastic sheet that is included with your kit. If you lie it on top of something that you can pick up, like a piece of cardboard, an oven liner, a baking sheet, anything that you can lift up and move somewhere else to dry, if you need your space back, then yeah, it's easier to move and not drip all over the house while you do that. But if you have a spot where you can paint and then leave it for a few days to dry, that's even better. Just try to protect it from bugs and pets and so on. All right. So yeah, this plastic sheet will be included in your kit. Canvas. I'm going to show you the easy way to insert the pins. Sometimes people try, with their thumb to press it in. This is wood, so it's hard. It can be quite hard to get them in there. I have a solution to that, and that is to stand up. Just poke the pin around until you find a spot where the wood feels a little bit soft. Hold your popsicle stick like this with your thumbs on top. Put it on top of the pin and lean on it with your body weight, and it goes right in. And it needs to go right in all the way to the wood. That way we know, if we do that with each one, we know that the canvas is level, if the table is level. Even a little bit of tilt while it's drying will cause the paint to run right off the side, and it'll ruin your composition. So all the way around like that, pressing down. Some canvases are easier than others, but like I said, try and find that little soft spot, if there is one, and just put your body weight on it. And then please pick it up and look and make sure that they are all down to the wood. And I'll show you how I get them out after. Once the painting is dry, it does take a few days normally to dry. It can be hard to pull them out. I can use a cloth or a paper towel and give it a twist and a pull. That works fine. Or this little thing works really great. It's a bottle opener. It's silicone, so it grabs on, and I just pull with that. But the paper towel works fine, or anything else you want to use to protect your hands is fine. Just can be a little hard to get them out of there. Right. Once the painting is dry, you can apply a varnish. See, this one has one coat of varnish on. I'm trying to get the shine off of it. Yeah, because the paint dries matte, and if you want to bring back some of that sort of wet look shine, you can apply a variety of varnishes. The one I use, this one here, Rust-Oleum Painter's Touch Clear Gloss 2 times. Yeah, it's supposed to be equivalent. One spray of this is supposed to be equivalent to 2 of a regular varnish. This one is great because it dries clear. It's foolproof. You just spray it on, and it's literally, I have never had a fail with this varnish. It works every time. It does smell. Maybe I'll bring the camera back up so I can talk to you again. The varnish does smell like spray paint, so you need to have a ventilated area. And yeah, I have a room that I use. You can go outside too to do it, but I have a room that is designated just for varnishing. I go in there, I spray, and I hold my breath, and then I run out and close the door. But I'm sure you can find your own way to do that. Some people like to use resin. Resin is high maintenance for to get that perfect coverage. But there are also other varnishes that you can pour on. There's all kinds of things you can do. I like the spray one. It protects from UV light, and it protects from damage, and it does bring back that shine. If you put 2 coats on, which, you know, they're saying would be like 4 regular coats, you get a real shine to that painting. I don't have one here with 2 coats, but yeah, you don't need that unless you really want it super shiny. And a matte look is nice too, because then it doesn't reflect the light. So that can be fine to just leave it without varnish. Or if you want to protect it but have matte, you can get this type of thing in matte instead of clear gloss. Okay. So yes, I think I've covered just about everything. I would like to say that while acrylic paint washes off of skin, no problem, it doesn't wash off of clothing. So try to wear some old clothes when you do this, and at least an apron. I like to have a damp cloth with me, even when I wear gloves, because I do get paint all over my hands, gloves or no gloves. And if I'm working around, I might end up dripping muddy paint onto my canvas, and I don't want that. So off to the side, I wipe on a cloth or a paper towel, and I keep my hands as clean as I can so that I'm not dripping back on top of my canvas. I will try and mention things like that during the workshops as well. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that little introduction, and for now, I'll just say happy pouring.